Mel, welcome to the Group X podcast. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Mate, look, I'm excited to have you on because there's a few different things that I want to get to know about you and about what you're doing here. But can you give us a little bit of a background on you and how you got into the fitness industry?
Absolutely. So I got into the industry when I was 17 and I started working at a really big health club in Castle Hill called C2K at the time, but now it's called Castle Hill Fitness, which I'm sure many people would know and love and would have probably looked at over the years. But in its peak, we probably had, I want to say close to like 7,000 members. It was a very, very big gym.
Wow.
So I got very used to dealing with, I think by the time I left, we dropped like just under sort of 5,000, but I got very used to dealing with lots of different personalities. And I just really like absorbed everything. Looking back now, I worked there from 17 starting in reception, as I said, and then I did my personal training certificates, my group fitness certificates, and ended up as the head of sales there. So I was a full-time sales or membership consultant, as we like to call it.
Yep.
And then I ended up, running a few sales girls there. So I left there at about 22, and then I worked at a few fight gyms for a little while. So I went, polar opposite and was at a few fight gyms for a little bit, moved down to Melbourne, did a couple things. But then I started working for Fernwood when I was 23 as a club manager of Penrith. Just wanted some stability. Obviously, being, more of a membership consultant, there isn't a whole lot of stability in those roles. It's very much, commission work and stuff like that, as a lot of people would know in the industry as well. So I took a job with Fernwood for 9 months, and then I bought the club when I was 24 years old. So I've had Fernwood Penrith coming up to 9 years now.
Yep.
And then I bought Fernwood Parramatta 4 years ago, so back 2020. So it's been a fun ride in the industry for the last 15 years, and I've certainly done every single job that you can do in a gym, including scrubbing the toilets, teaching fitness classes. I still walk in and look at the cobwebs and I'm like, okay, I need to do that.
Yep.
But yeah, so everything from sort of creche to reception to membership sales to handing out flyers, pamphlet dropping, everything. I've done it all.
At the age of 24, buying a club, that's a huge, huge accomplishment. So, mate, well done.
Ballsy, right? Yeah. I look back at it now and I get more scared than I was back then. I think because I had nothing, Tony, though. Like, I think because I had nothing to lose, right? Like, my husband now, but my boyfriend at the time, we were living with my parents. I think we maybe had $2,000 saved between the two of us. We had nothing. So we sort of went to Di and begged her to buy the club and, just scrimped and scraped and paid back our, we got a loan from a family member because the banks wouldn't even look at us, and paid him back in 18 months. I didn't draw a wage for a really long time and just worked and churned and it eventually all sort of pays off, right?
Now, buying the one at Parramatta, that's obviously, when's 2020? We don't talk about those things that happened back in 2020, do we? Was that a time to buy a gym?
Absolutely not. It's the word. My God. So we bought the gym on the 30th of January, 2020, and 5 weeks later, COVID hit, and I spiraled. I'm not going to lie. It was a very awful time. Westfield was not forgiving in negotiations on the rent. We've actually just paid our final deferred rent payment this month after 2 years of paying it. Yeah. So I think that's the thing, right, with health clubs. Everyone goes, it's a golden ticket to making money. And I definitely don't look at it that way. I think most of us in the industry know that we are overworked and underpaid, and we do it because we love it, right? There's never been huge money in it. You know that. I know that. But it's an industry that's very flexible. You can lead a certain lifestyle. You obviously are surrounded by like-minded people, and I think all of those things are very appealing, particularly to a 17 and 24-year-olds. Now in my nearly 33-year-old, I'm certainly, the shininess has worn off, but I have to be honest, though, I still love it. Like, I still come in and it just makes me so happy.
Yeah. Now, you're a Group X instructor as well?
I am. So, more so, I did a lot of kickboxing and boxing back in the day. That was my passion in my early 20s.
Yep.
My husband, I met him at the fight gym. He's a Muay Thai fighter. He had a few fights in his early 20s.
Yep.
But yeah, I have trained in grit and then a lot of freestyle stuff as well. So,
Okay.
and
are you
being
still?
a gym owner at any time,
So are you still
yeah,
teaching
at
at the
any
moment?
time I could kind of get the call to be like, hey, you need to jump in. I am not teaching at the moment. No, I'm not. No, it's just something I don't have capacity of anymore.
Yep.
I can't be in one place at one time.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you understand, obviously, the needs, the pressure that is on a group exercise instructor at any one point in time. And I'm going to assume that's part of what led you into the next thing that you're doing in the industry at the moment, yeah?
Absolutely. So I think it's always been a really big bugbear of mine with group fitness instructors when they kind of get treated not like staff. I saw at C2K, obviously, and other gyms that I worked at, instructors very much fly in and fly out, and they kind of weren't treated like they were part of the staff team. So I always really struggled with that in terms of them like fostering those relationships. So that's something that I really, when I bought my own clubs, I tried to take the time out to do and sort of treat them, my team of group fitness instructors, very much the same as how I would treat my staff. And I found that really helped. It became quite successful. And I think that was always because I could speak from the point of, I understand what you're going through because I've been there and I've done it myself. Like
Yeah.
I've done Les Mills training. I've taught to people. I've taught when, the members can be quite frustrating or don't want to do the exercises, or not listening. I've actually been in those situations and lived it real life myself, right? So when you're coming from that angle, there's a much better response from your team.
Completely. Yeah. So how did you find being Group X manager as well as cleaner, as well as everything? Obviously, you're wearing, 100 different hats at a time. Let's talk about Group X management for a second, if we can. It's obviously, it's a challenge because, as you mentioned, there are so many personalities as well that you've got to deal with all of those instructors and making sure that they do feel part of the team. Is there one thing that you can say that you love the most out of Group X management role?
I love how much passion everybody has. Like, no one's coming in for the money. It's not money driven. If they don't love it, they're not doing it, right? So I just would try to foster that as best I could. And that was always for me, buying them more equipment or promoting their classes or sort of hand holding and being like, okay, you've got 10 people in, let's think of some ways that we can grow that number to 20 people in your participants. And, making sure we're doing bring a friend for free to the yoga or, whatever the classes might be. But for me, it was just try and say yes as much as possible to any ideas that the group fitness instructors had, because generally they were all good and there wasn't really many things that I had to say no to. Like over the 9 years that I've owned Penrith, I very much have always listened, tried to again put myself in their shoes and go, okay, well, how can I help them and help them build a class? But yeah, definitely, I think just listening to their concerns, trying to find solutions, and going from there.
What do you think the biggest thing is that's changed over the 9 years that you've been owner of that club in the Group X space?
Oh, the room. I bought when I bought the room. No. Look, virtual. I think virtual has definitely been the most dramatic change in the group fitness industry. Is this introduction of a lot of clubs, big scale, have a virtual option and try to push that. And I'm a big believer in having that as an option. I'm not a believer in having that as taking away live classes and obviously just doing virtual classes. So I think it's a good supplement. Do I think the screen knows your name and knows, that your dog was sick last week? No. But do I know that, my instructor Carol would be asking our members that? Absolutely. So for me, it's I think virtual is probably the biggest thing that I've seen in change in the industry for the last 9 years for sure.
AI hasn't got there yet, but I reckon it'll be there one day. Soon it'll be able to hone in and realise that it's Mel that's in front of it teaching or participating and go, hey, Mel, how's your dog? Yeah. It'll happen one day. That's the scary thing.
Totally. Yes, 100%. I completely agree with you. It's frightening.
This is the Group X podcast.
Did you have much pushback from instructors at your club when you put virtual on?
No, not at all, because I delivered it all to them in a way of, this is a supplement. It's not taking away from your positions whatsoever. None of the classes were sort of taken off the timetable. And for us, it's just a screen in the back that is optional at any time when there's not a group fitness class on. So we actually don't schedule group fitness classes around it. It's just a screen that's there that anyone can Chromecast whatever app that they've got, and obviously do their own workout. But we don't so much supply a virtual option, like a virtual streaming option or anything like that. All we supply is the room, a television screen, and then our members can do as they please with that. So it's kind of like what people would be doing at home, because again, I really believe in my instructors. I really believe in what they offer. I've seen, them literally change people's lives. I've been them changing people's lives. And say we saved, $20,000 a year maybe from switching half the classes to virtual. To me, it's just not worth the risk of
Totally agree with
possibly losing those instructors.
Yep.
Yeah. Or, changing it up that dramatically. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think it's good enough yet.
What if an instructor couldn't show up for some reason?
I'm glad you asked, Tony.
Anyway.
So for me, typically, I know, I loved it. So for me, typically, I would either physically jump into the class, or I would pray to God that I had multi-skilled my sales girls and that somebody could jump in and cover a class. But honestly, I would have to cancel. And for me, that was my biggest bugbear, or my biggest peeve in the industry, was seeing members come in. And I think this was from my early days, in my 17-year-old days, because I was front of house, right? I was on reception. So we'd have 40 people show up. And you have to remember, this was late 2000s? So 2011, 12? Yep. So we'd have people coming in, and they would, be like, why isn't body pump on? And we would just get slaughtered from the members. I've showed up. There was no such thing as apps and bookings. There was no way for us to communicate out to 7,000 people and email them and say, sorry, the class isn't going to be on. They would just be showing up in drones of people, and we would have to be like, I'm really sorry, it's cancelled. So I think I have a little PTSD from that, which obviously leads us to my brilliant idea that I actually wrote down in my notes back in 2019 of my phone, and I sort of wrote a few notes saying GFQ, GroupFit, subcontractor idea of how could I get, Zumba, reformer, body pump instructors to meet up with gyms. And I sort of, as you do, late at night in the car, scrambled down a few ideas, and 5 years later, it's finally come to life. So it's, that's the main thing I guess I wanted to talk to you about today, was this new using technology to help our instructors actually find work and not replace them.
Then let's go straight down that path. Give us a little bit of detail about what you called it and what it is. What does it actually do for us? Yes. So it's called GroupFit Quick, or GFQ for short. So it's essentially an app for group fitness instructors and gyms to find each other. So like Airtasker, if you can imagine, the gyms are going to be able to post a job. So, tonight I've got a 6 o'clock Zumba class that needs to be covered. And then everybody that's on our app, all of our group fitness instructors in the area, will get a notification or an SMS to say, hey, Mel, would you like to cover this class that's in your local area? And essentially they can either accept or deny it, and then it would move on through to the next person. But all of the instructors will be vetted. And I think that for me as an owner was such a big thing. I would get all of these instructors coming through to cover a class, but I didn't have their insurance, I didn't have their registration, I didn't have their full-blown qualifications, and often I would get that a few days after they'd actually come in and taught. So, and when you're scrambling last minute, that just puts so much pressure on a GFM to find all of those things and get all of their credentials, let alone the group fitness instructor, who I'm sure doesn't have it saved, constantly to hand out. So true.
So it's going to essentially, right. It just becomes a mess. And we've essentially tried to figure out and solve all of these messy issues around group fitness management. So payments, I've got all subcontractors at my club. So I've solved that issue by having invoices via the app that are all going to be automatic. So, if I have someone, say, Tony, you decided you wanted to cover a body combat class tonight at my gym. You would come in, you would QR code on, you would QR code off after the class, you would put in your participant numbers, and it would automatically generate an invoice to me. I would then say accept payment, and then you would be paid within a 24-hour period. So wow. I guess we've really just tried to essentially get group fitness instructors and gyms to be able to do what they do, deliver amazing classes without any of the other hassle that goes with it.
I like the idea of being able to send an app out to instructors rather than if it was my class and I needed the cover. As we all know, as a group X instructors, it's, oh shit, where's the covers list? Oh, there it is. Okay, yep, cool. I'll start from the top. I'll start ringing her. I'll start SMSing, or shit, hang on, no, I'll stick something on a Facebook group, and then you always get those lovely instructors that turn around and say, oh, sorry, just saw this now. Could have done it. Don't respond with that, you dicks. We don't want to know after the fact. We just want to know that you're able to do it. Please don't. But, we all understand that stress. Precisely. To have something that is taking that stress away is fantastic. Is there? Let me throw something at you. I mean, okay, let's just say it's you and I chatting here at 7:30 at night, but just say it was 12:30. We were chatting, and I was going to be teaching a class tonight at 5:30. Our podcast went for 11 hours. I wasn't able to teach. When's the latest that I can actually post this so that it gets out there to the team? Is there a cutoff to say, Tony, you can't do this at 5:29, you idiot. You need to get in there and teach. Is there something you put in place to go, Correct. You know what, Tony, at 4:30, you're just going to have to start phoning people or whatever? Tell us a bit about that if you can.
Precisely, yeah. So there's a 60-minute window at which at that point you'd essentially been in the same position that you're in now. You'd have to start calling people, asking in favors, or obviously directly speaking to your club. But there is obviously that ability, because it's so much faster to post. If group fitness instructors, I guess, think that they're going to be sick or going to have a day off or whatever it might be, the likeliness of them posting a lot earlier is going to happen because they know that they can get it covered. They can also, so if it's your class and you wanted to forward it on, you can also do that. If it was my class as the gym and I wanted to forward it on, I can also do that. So there's the two different options where instructors can get covers, or clubs can find new people and get covers as well. So either option, as long as the class is being filled, that's essentially what we want to make sure. We just really, our goal is to make sure that anyone on this program doesn't ever cancel a class and at least has a class in that same genre, right? So even if it's maybe, a stretching class instead of yoga, even if it's, Pilates mat work instead of reformer, whatever it might be, we really want to make sure that we've got enough instructors out there to connect with gyms. And for me, as you would know from your Les Mills days, it was always the biggest issue when speaking to club owners. Whenever I go to a Fernwood conference or whatever else, that's always the feedback that I get, but we can't find instructors. But then I have instructors that go, we can't find classes. So there's this real disconnect between the two. And that's, I guess, what we're trying to solve is each party getting what they want out of it. And not just that, getting the right person with the right qualifications, because as you know, someone can't teach a body pump class if they don't have a body pump certificate. So we're really trying to cut through the cheese of the messiness around, well, what are you qualified in? What are you not qualified in? Instead of, the GFM receiving an email with 17 certificates of every single style of Les Mills and creating an Excel spreadsheet off of that. And then, it just becomes so much legwork, I guess we're trying to solve all of the niggly, annoying bits to do with group fitness.
What's new in fitness? The Australian fitness industry news and commercial gym equipment suppliers website designed to provide fitness industry professionals with knowledge and information to make better informed business decisions.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if I ask you some questions that are going too far, because I realise that it's not launched yet, you are launching very soon. Please just say, Tone, we can't go there at the moment. So I've got my brain's gone down this creative
Deal.
path because I want to know more about this. It's really, to me,
I love it.
I'll be honest. I
It
started
makes me
designing
happy that
something.
you're excited.
No, I started designing something in 2015 when I was at Les Mills, and it was where the word Group X came from. Yeah, it's, for me, it was Group X management software, GEMS as I called it then, and I understand that it costs a fair chunk of money to design an app. You know, I bought this FileMaker Pro software and got all the way through it, but then I just couldn't get the back ends to work with each other, and it was like, nah, put it on the back burner, get back to it when I can, and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that you've gone and done it, I'm so excited about, because it's needed. Yeah, as we've said, it's so bloody needed in the industry. So run me through, if we can. I'm an instructor. I'm going to jump on here. I put in all my details. I upload my certificates. It goes through, so it's being vetted by someone so that, you know, yes, Tone's insurance is up to date. His CPR first aid is up to date. He's not bullshitting saying he's a combat instructor. He is actually a combat instructor. He's not pretending, or he did the training and he's actually got his certificate. Yeah, guys, got his certificate. I've never combat trained, but anyway, we'll leave that one alone for now. I can throw a punch, but that's not as far as we got. But so if I'm on there, and you're also on there as an instructor. It's your class, then you're teaching, let's just say you're teaching RPM, because that's, as we all know, one of my favorite programs. You're teaching RPM. I'm not qualified in RPM. Am I still going to get notification? Or is it only going to go to those that are specific to that genre and that
Correct.
program?
Exactly. It's only going to go to the people that are specific to that genre. So in terms of genres, we've obviously got like cardio, strength, wellness. So it's just going to depend on what area you select when you put in your credentials about what you'd like to cover for. And then obviously it would just be selected to those people, and also based off of your LGA, right? So if you're within 10 kilometers of that particular club, you'll get notified. But if you're any further than that, we're going to presume that you won't want to teach those classes, which is another thing that I've kind of seen. Yeah, that's another thing. You can set your own radius, to be fair, Tony. You can actually set your own radius, but we recommend 10 kilometers because, it wants to be nice and convenient. But I've seen a lot of people on the Group Fitness Instructors Sydney pages, saying, hey, I'm going to Brisbane next month and I want to teach a class up there, So it allows instructors that flexibility to jump in and try somewhere else if they're on holidays or whatever, to come in and cover a class. I just think it's something that, is going to give them that option and that opportunity.
Yep. So will it send me, if told you my brain's going to go creative here. If I'm teaching at 6:30 tomorrow night, but you need a cover, is it still going to notify me if I'm already teaching, or is it just going to go, nah, Tone's already teaching there, we're not going to bother sending him information, because he's not going to, what we don't want to have happen is Tony turn around and go, oh, I'm actually going to not teach where I normally teach because I want to go and teach Mel's class because I prefer to go over there. We don't want that stuff to happen. So it's not going to notify me if I'm already teaching, if I already got something in the calendar. Cool.
No, that's right. So with your profiles, we've got like a home club option. So when you're teaching at your home club on your permanent classes, let's say, because we always love those ones. No, that's right. You'll be automatically you're already busy. It's ruled you out of the option. However, that also gives you the opportunity to push it out to just your home club teachers. So for me, I wanted the ability first to give my instructors at my gym the opportunity to cover that class. So I might go, okay, Reformer Pilates tomorrow at 5:30 needs a cover. I want my instructors to have first dibs on that though. When they all say no or decline the class, they're all going to obviously, whoever I've selected or all of them to push it out to, then I could go to the next pool of people in my local area. But I wanted that option first to give them the opportunity of the work, right? So when a Group Fitness instructor signs on, they'll note their home clubs where they regularly teach, and then they'll get more regular notifications from those home clubs.
This is the Group X podcast.
Let's talk about the club side of things then, if we can. So you, as the club, that I'm your instructor working at your club. Yep. You go through. You obviously set up your timetable. Are you setting up the timetable for the instructor sets up their classes, or how is that? Can it just work with instructors and not clubs?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that one, to be completely honest with you. I know for me as a club, I will be setting my timetable, and then I believe it sets into each of the instructors individually. So it would be like, Mel, you have a permanent class at Fernwood Penrith at 5:30, and then you've got a permanent class at World Gym Penrith at 6:30, for example. That's how I believe it to work. But like we said, we don't have the finalized version yet, coming in a month. But that's as far as my understanding is, yes, that's sort of how it would work. But I want the ability from a club end to be able to input those classes, because my timetable, which everyone should, I believe, changes quarterly. So every season, I'm the one who's going to obviously upload that in. And then on the back end, it's also got a lot of functionality for club owners. So again, being in the industry for, such a long time, I've noticed when I need to train a new GFM, I find it quite difficult to explain to them how to cut classes, or how to, try to get people to certain classes, or whether it's the instructor or maybe the, program that we've put on at that certain time, which I'm sure as a group fitness instructor listening, you've probably had that situation that would say, I've only got 4 people in my class. What's happening? Is it the club that isn't gelling with me as an instructor? Is it the program at this time slot? What is it that's kind of going wrong there? And that's something that on the back end we've put a lot of work into. So we've come up with the traffic light system. So obviously looking at the number of members that club has, obviously then looking at the number of participants per class, and doing, a red for maybe classes that have highlighted in red, classes that have under, say, 5 participants, in orange 5 to 15, in green 15 plus, to make it super simple for the group fitness manager to go, okay, these are the classes that I need to address, and these are the ones that I know are doing really well. So every quarter they're not sitting with an Excel spreadsheet going through stuff. They'll be at a flash be able to go, all right, this date to this date I can see what's working on my timetable and what's not. And that's something I've just never had the ability to look at in the industry. Like, it's just something that just hasn't happened yet. It's so old school. There's so many manual inputs. So when you're coming into a club, particularly as a cover instructor, we still want to know your numbers. And then I can highlight, okay, maybe that class, I can see Tony's gotten a cover 4 times in the last 3 months. That's probably why that class isn't doing so well. And that might be a conversation then I can lead into with my group fitness instructor. But I guess for me, there's just not enough training and skills on the back end of group fitness management. And it is so finite. It is so dependent on who's training you and what skills they're sort of passing on to you. It's almost like this rite of passage for group fitness managers that only few people know. But then if it's not passed on, it's like you're sitting there with your hands in the air going, we're wasting, as a club, wasting all this money on group fitness wages, and nobody's actually going in and doing the classes. So again, I've really tried to problem solve. We've been developing the app for 15 months. So this last sort of year on how to make it clear cut, decisive, these are the classes you need to look at cutting. These are the ones you need to look at highlighting and promoting. And these are the ones that are doing really well. And then obviously we've tried to add in a lot of additional tools for group fitness managers. So things like, review sheets where they could print something off of our website and obviously then be able to, hold a review with their teachers and go down the path of what are the things that they're looking for. So I guess a lot of management tools too, to be able to upskill the group fitness managers. But really about, Tony, getting them off the admin side of thing and getting them teaching. The group fitness managers are the best leaders. But I've found over the years, I have them half the time in the office trying to find covers. So for me, I'm like, why are they here doing this? I want them in launches. I want them talking to members. I want them G'ing up their instructors to go G up the members, and all of that energy gets wasted on texting and calling and, Facebooking, and it's a lot. And as you know, it's so time consuming. So for me, I'm trying to,
completely. I got an email just recently from a Group X manager out there in our industry that filled me in on what a large chain is doing and how they're doing things. And my jaw just dropped. I was like, wow, okay, that's, telling a Group X manager that they can only teach X amount of classes per week and the rest of it's got to be on management side of doing things. And I was like, part of me gets it, but then part of me also goes, hang on a second, you have probably the best instructor in your team there as a manager. Let them do what they got to do. Let them teach. Let them be allowed to go and do what they do best, and get them away from the management side of things, or the not management side of things, but the mundane data entry bullshit that we shouldn't be doing, which it sounds like the app takes care of. The update your numbers. I mean, I remember having to spend an hour and a half to 2 hours each week walking past 3 studios, grabbing the sheets. I had 120 something classes on it in North Sydney when I was there, and you'd have to sit down, and then I'd have to go and enter all the data in and all that kind of stuff. And I'd change that instructor to do that just to do the pays, because sometimes it takes you 4 to 5 hours, a fortnight, whatever it was, to do it. When was I going to be able to then
Tony,
sit down
we're still doing that.
Yeah.
We are still doing that. That's exactly how we do payroll. Like, I'm not even kidding. This is why I've invested so much money into the app, and why I believe it will work is because we are still doing that. We have a group fitness instructor sign-off sheet with the times and the dates, and we literally manually will highlight and then do a bank transfer. Like, it takes me 3 to 4 hours. Like you said, like, I have 2 clubs. I have over 45 instructors. There's a lot of people to make sure. And often, to my embarrassment, maybe once a month, I have someone say, hey, I didn't get paid for this class, or hey, I got overpaid by $50, or, whatever. And it's embarrassing as an owner. You don't want them to not get paid, or you don't want to overpay people and then say, oh, would you mind transferring that back? Like, it's just messy. And I really do believe this will be a way forward, and we're not going to look back. I just think it's so far overdue, 9 years
100%.
Exactly from you thinking about it in 2015, that it just makes sense. And
No, I think it is, as you said, it is something that is well overdue for the industry. What's the best way for people to find out more information on it with you at the moment?
So to register would be amazing. Go onto our website, www.groupfitquick.com.au, but follow us on socials. So Instagram, obviously TikTok, Facebook, we've got it all, but GroupFit Quick is the main thing. Register, be ready for it when it comes. When our instructors sign on, there's no cost until they start actually taking classes as well. So it costs nothing to register, get your qualifications up. You won't be charged until you actually accept a job and start to use the app. So you can almost, have a little peruse, see what's going on in there, figure out if it's for you, and hopefully, go from there.
Can you share with us how much it's going to cost, or is that still something to be worked on?
Please. No, of course. Yes, please. So it's going to be $9.99 for instructors. So $10 a month, very similar, to less than actually, I think, your Spotify subscription. And the way we kind of could justify that was if it saves you even 15 minutes a week of invoicing, that's your time, like that's your month paid for, right? So I guess time is money. As a group fitness instructor, I mean, no one tell me they're getting less than $50 an hour. Otherwise, I would cry. You should be charging at least $50 an hour, is my biggest advice. But we sort of looked at it like that. Like, if you can, 15 minutes a week on invoicing versus $10 a month, it should well and truly pay for itself in terms of just that alone. If you don't even use it for anything else other than just getting paid a lot faster and not having to do your invoicing, that's enough, right? So $10 a month for instructors, and then for gyms, it will be scaled based on how many instructors you have. So between $99 and $159 a month for gyms.
Sweet. I like it. Everything you've just said excites me in a big way, because, as I said, it's well overdue, needs to be here. The sooner it can launch, the better. Mel, I'm excited. Is there anything else more that you want to share with us about the app that you and I haven't chatted about yet?
I guess I would just be so open to feedback from our instructors. I think that that's something that I really want to share, is that, we're all ears. It's me, myself, and my GFM at Fernwood for 5 years. Her name's Jess, is my co-founder. So we're definitely coming at it from an experience point of view. Jess, obviously, being the GFM and a GFI, me, obviously, from the club, more so background. Is it just we're all ears? If any of our instructors are finding that something's not working, or they've got any great ideas, please shoot us an email. We'd love to hear from you, and would love to include anything further in the app.
Beautiful. Mel, I'm just going to say thank you for coming on. Thank you for having a chat. I know this one's a lot quicker than what I normally do with them, but when they're product-specific stuff, I like to just keep it very simple, very straight to the point so that there's not too much fluff involved and we get the message across. So, mate, thank you so much for coming on and sharing GroupFit Quick with us here at Group X.
Of course. Thank you. So look forward to it launching, and I'm sure I'll speak to you soon.